Righto. So I suppose a lot of people obviously worked out from the weekend. Yeah, what happened to Revheads. I mean, I've got a couple of notes, or I suppose things I want to say. Going past that, got a list obviously here so I don't forget a lot of things. But yeah, I mean, start by apologising obviously to the guys that you know, it affected. I think I spoke to be honest, a lot of them in person, if not have messaged, you know, on the weekend at the event, whatever else. Like I said, you know, I tested vigorously, you know, at home on dummy old data. Yeah, been doing, it worked flawlessly other than a few signal issues. I suppose I'll go into that a bit later, but there's redundancy even for that. As you can see in a second, we went out and bought our own Starlink, like, you know, my own money. Obviously, you know, the series sort of, I suppose, is an investment for them and, you know, the other comps. And, you know, Revheads, you know, were good enough. We decided we were going to pay for that, so they went out and bought us, you know, a bunch of power banks because, you know, they were happy to invest and believed in it as well. But yeah, I suppose, you know, not a lot else I can do other than say they're the ones that it did affect. You know, that ultimately falls on me. I suppose transitioned into why. Basically, it was designed to run 3 forms basically. So you do round 1 as one form that would go to one spot. Round 2 would go to another spot, and then basically already had sheets built for those. Those 2 got amalgamated together, and yeah, basically gave you your, like, you sort by class and descending order basically, and it gives you your finalists. What happened at Revheads, and I don't suppose I've ever seen before, and you know, Revheads probably had that many cars there well and truly before, but I don't think they've ever processed that many burnouts in a weekend. There was, shit, I think we added up 570 something burnouts went on that weekend over, well, two good days. And like I said, we knew from the outset, you know, the year before we had weather, like the hail, people remember, and like I said, we're struggling sort of get through what we did then. This year we had over 200 cars nominated. Obviously you do the maths, 2 qualifiers each, you know, plus 30 in the finals, plus the 17 women's class, and then there was another 100 and something, 107 I think in the end nominated for burn for cash the next day. So, you know, it's a metric shit ton of burnouts basically. Yeah, like I said, it worked perfectly at Bindoon, and I suppose I didn't give it the credit at that comp because, you know, I'd put all the hours into it, and to be honest, I wanted to give it the credit that it deserved at one of our series events. And yeah, let's say I sort of digressed, but the amount of cars that we had at Revheads this year, the problem lied. Friday went off perfectly. Like I said, you know, people were pulling the piss out of us because I was sitting there at 1 o'clock just checking things, you know, still sitting on my laptop looking. I just wanted everything to be, you know, as bright as it could. I'll run you through a bit of that in a minute. But yeah, the problem sort of started Saturday morning when, you know, they opened the pad, and obviously there's the dozen or so guys that were keen as mustard that were out there. And like I said, you had all the you know, gonna upset everyone, but all the fucking heroes that wanted to, you know, wait as long as they could or whatever, you know, scenario is. You get the ones that, you know, I've had a couple of people say, oh, we work, well, just a shit, you nominated to go to a burnout event, you know, you knew full well, not the day before, like nominations closed on the Wednesday, plan to have that shit off. It's fucking not rocket science, so don't give me that bullshit. Yeah, I get, you know, people get delays, but it wasn't just one or two, it was fucking heaps of people. So basically after, you can say all you want, but there was probably an hour and a half of the commentator calling for first round people. The Revheads guys made the decision, which I 100% back, to call round 2 guys. Mentioned to them at the time that obviously the system wasn't ever designed to do that, and to be honest, I built the sheets with those sort of numbers in mind. So, you know, 200 cars, 3 judges is obviously around 600 sort of forms. Yeah, there was, well, I think I built the sheet to around 800 odd columns. The way it works is basically, as you can see on the car, the 100, the entrant number is what drives everything for that system. So, what are you doing, dog? Yeah, basically the entrant number is what gives you your class, what gives you your score, and basically that's how that lookup sort of happens. The issue I had with that is basically when I built the form or the sheet, the Excel spreadsheet that it drops into, it had exception reporting for basically multiple scores for that issue that we ultimately encountered later, because well, basically, you know, for whatever reason, if a judge keyed in a wrong number, or, you know, for whatever reason that car physically got out twice in the first round, then yeah, it was gonna flag that. I mean, there's a couple of double-entered cars, for example. If the judges grabbed the wrong number, or, you know, they didn't cover that as per what we sort of said in the series, you know, we've got a couple of double enters there. That was the idea behind that. So basically, it would flag, or, you know, come up red. There was basically a duplication in the system. Given, you know, the entrance staff didn't even know what round they were in, so it was impractical to expect them to tell the guy on the start line, to tell the commentator, and then the commentator to relay that over the PA to the judges, that which car was in which round. And then obviously for them it's not a 2-second transition, it's basically skipping back to an email. It's an email form to there. So yeah, like I said, you know, for a guy that's super tech savvy on a tablet, it's maybe a 15-second operation, skipping backwards and forwards. But, or you could have a couple of panes, like internet panes open, and do it that way, skip backwards and forwards. But it seemed to me to be a recipe for disaster. So I suppose what I made the call to do was said that all the judges switch over to round 2, and basically I manipulated the sheet. I took all that exception reporting off the sheet, and then I had to, like I said, that numbering before, I had to manually stretch the fields, so it would take, what do we end up with, you know, 1,100 odd lines. So like I said, you know, cars break, obviously it wasn't the full 200 go through, so there wasn't, you know, the full 1,200 sheets end up in there. But yeah, basically I had to manipulate what I'd already built to suit the situation we encountered. That, I think what people are struggling with is, yeah, ended up with some triplication was the word I used, but basically some random entrance, and that's, I've got to put it down, it was random, ended up with 3 lots of scores somehow. It was, like I said, I can't work out how still, but I've redone the whole process, start to finish, and it worked perfectly. There was something, I don't know, a glitch or something somewhere, but basically it's the system. I've rebuilt the sheet basically to accept that way, even though I'll go into later that we're just never going to run that way. It's not going to happen, whether we have to limit numbers or whether we just have to say 10 o'clock Saturday is your cut off for round one, that you don't make it, that's your own problem basically. It's not unreasonable to expect that. I mean, you choose to enter the comp. Like I said, if you can't get there and compete by that time for first round when they've got all Friday afternoon, or we started at 11 o'clock I think it was on Friday morning, so they brought it forward just because they knew the amount of cars they had to get through. But yeah, anyway, it's basically didn't happen again, won't happen again. Whether it was also because I copied the data out in chunks throughout the day for that initial sheet versus doing it all as one lump the second time round. Maybe there was some overlap or some formula that I've created there somewhere that it only likes it one way, but I'll run you through anyway. Might show you the computer, obviously I've got that there. But yeah, basically I've covered a lot of it. Anyway, but I suppose while I'm still on the amount of time, the 6 cylinders especially are affected by it. The 2 minute sort of limit on qualifying, that's going to be a hard and fast thing. Can't have cars out there for 3.5 minutes. You never get through them all. Same thing, like we need to process that amount of cars that quick. If people, that's ultimately what we wanted with the series, is to make country events popular. I think a lot of people are following it for the right reasons and see. Well, I think people struggle sometimes to actually believe that we're a not-for-profit. We don't take a cent out of this. It's it's for the love of the sport. Fucking same reason I've done a lot of this. There's probably 200-300 hours of my own time in, plus my own money in this spreadsheet. It's like an electronic system that ultimately I'm just going to give away at the end of it. Like, want it to be idiot-proof. Like I said, the formula was there for a reason, not to, it was to make it idiot-proof. It was just literally click and drag and filter. A lot of the formula and cells were locked down, and password protected, so you couldn't inadvertently click and drag and break one of them. For example, was not tied anything. You could still, if you wanted to, copy and paste that formula out of there and build your own version of it if you wanted to. But anyway, but yeah, I suppose next point. Going forward, like I said, we're just going to have to limit that competition time. And there's been a few other suggestions, but they don't really work. Even putting it back into classes, I think you're going to end up with more of that scenario where you have to have that cut-off point. There's always that guy that's broken or struggling to make the next round or whatever the scenario may be. You get to that point where you run out of spare time. You just can't wait around. I suppose one of the best things about the system is the transparency. It's like I said, I've sent probably 40 or 50 people their scores. I've never had a problem with giving that information to people, an explanation behind that as well. There's probably 20 of those people I've written, small novels to, like, explaining what, at least my interpretation of what those judges have put. Unfortunately, I probably only got to watch maybe 20 burnouts myself the whole weekend, so a lot of people would have seen me running literally backwards and forwards. The first day, the majority of that running was just checking. Like I said, debuted it at Bindoon. Obviously, it used multiple judges, just obviously my family as test mules, but at Bindoon, I did it myself, just as a test case there. But yeah, I said worked perfectly. Other than I said the finals for the barn being cut short. I didn't. Maybe it was the promoter. No one chooses to argue, but yeah, as I said, I didn't hear too many issues about results there. So, like I said, it was done on the same system. But yeah, again, didn't make a big deal of it at the time. Like I said, not in it for credit. Just want to see things be better. But I'll show you in a minute. Anyway, basically the transparency, or the the amount of information you can see and get from it, and it's all time stamped. It's got redundancy, so if those scores, basically to keep an eye on it, if you're supervisional like I was being on the weekend, you just sort of scroll through the page. Everything's time stamped. I just look for threes of each entrant number, basically. So the first column was entrant number. You're just looking for that repetition of threes. So you can check 20 cars in the space of 20 seconds. I think the whole weekend we had six forms that went astray, and well, I'll show you on the tablet. But it even that's got redundancy. The judge that it happened to knew whether it was Wi-Fi interference, like where he was sitting or what, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, basically he manually wrote those down, so we had a paper backup for that, and yeah, he just keyed them in later. Like it wasn't a big issue. The way, again, it looks it up, it just looks for that entrant number across the whole spreadsheet. It doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter if it's in order or not. But basically what I was doing when I saw those six, so I was just going down, recording which ones. Like I said, you just filter, look up via that entrant number. You might see it 20 places down. Like I said, the majority of them we just keyed in at the end from the paper copy that he'd done, or caught up when there was a break type thing. But yeah, like I said, 6 out of 600, what's that, 1%? It's yeah, it was next to nothing. Like I said, it ironically happened to one tablet, so whether that was maybe the issue. Quite old iPad, but obviously quite good battery life with those, so catch-22. But anyway, but yeah, I suppose the easiest thing now is I'll run you through, like so you can see. But again, yeah, I think that's all my points. So obviously, like I said, it's not new technology. Google Forms. We've now been doing our nomination forms in this. Within that too, for example, our sets in the south one, we've had sign off from AASA. So if you come down the bottom here, basically we just hyperlink their indemnity form. You ticking here is in their eyes as good as a signature. I have paid, obviously, we verify that with the bank transactions. But yeah, basically, not only the entry forms, but the judging form. So this is one of the examples. Obviously, Revheads, you can put your icon on here, whatever. It's no big deal. But yeah, basically, oh sorry, gone the wrong form. So where we go?
sorry, that is the Revheads nomination form. Sorry. So, well, I'll show you on the tablet. It's probably the easiest way. Not the right way. No. So, yep, here's one up a bit earlier. So, fill out form. Basically, yeah, the only thing, or the only way this can fail, so created, well, up here, so registered Gmail, sorry, put that central, yeah, registered Gmails for all these, so you get that traceability, you'll see that in a second, but yeah, basically just tick that, entrant, so 100 for example, a name own, instant smoke straight away, constant smoke, you know, might pedaled a few times, volume of smoke, you know, 15, not great, or whatever. Driver control, obviously, you know, there's that prompt, there's the same thing that's been on the same scorecard the last, shit, however many years, the same one, helped develop with Summernats. Yeah, like I said, anyway, you'll see in a second. Basically, you know, type whatever you want for manual reminders. That obviously pops up in a field too. Limiter, you know, whatever you want. It's not limited to anything. That's just a free text field. It doesn't affect anything. It's just basically reminders. Anyway, I'll leave driver control just as an example. Tyres, obviously you can only have one or two, so, you know, one tyre. Wall hits, you know, I suppose you can have as many wall hits as you want, but by the time you've had 3, especially per judge, you know, you've pretty well all but wiped out your entire score. Yeah, you're not in contention. So I suppose that's just why I limited it at 3. Yeah, obviously fires, same thing, you know, you can have multiple fires. If the fire marshal says it's okay for you to continue, in my eyes, the scoring continues. It's not like, you know, you've rotted the engine, whatever, you know, a lot of the time, if you've had a big tyre fire, you know, a fair chance it's going to go up again. So, you know, you might get 20. Fail drive off, obviously you can only do that once, so that's why that's only got 1. Hit submit, straight away it's told me you've got an error, haven't put in a score for that, whatever. Okay, so you go back and do that, hit submit. So for example, now you go, oh shit, that car was driving off and it's comped out for whatever reason, edit your response, go back, brings up the same sheet. Right, now failed to drive off, I've already done that. Anyway, submit, done. Submit another response, straight onto the next sheet, straight into the next entrant, instant smoke, 8, constant, 4, whatever, numbers are irrelevant at this point. 34, you know, hit 1 wall, done, literally, that was, shit, what, 10 seconds, not even, submit another response. That's as quick as you can make it. Obviously, you know, like I was saying before, build a form, each one, so that's burn for cash. It was qualifying 1, qualifying 2, and then finals. Basically, that drops into here, and so I'll go here for example. This is basically everything drops into this responses section of the sheet then. We'll put the camera back the right way. Right, so yeah, anyway, drops into responses. Obviously this is an entry form, so the responses are slightly different. But even for the first 100 or so entrants, you actually get a nice bar graph across here, and you can see at a really quick glance if you've got 3 per entrant, because it tells you the entrant, and it's just a bar graph, so you can see. But where the real magic happens, or you know, where the visibility starts, I'll open that twice, already have it open, but yeah, anyway, is here. So like I said, everything's time stamped, and then like I said, this isn't the but actually the one I just closed that's why I opened it, but anyway. So I said if I go history, Revheads round 1, alright. So this is the actual judging data that comes in here. What I was saying, entry number 3 times, entry number 3 times, entry number 3 times, timestamps within milliseconds of one another. That's how quick it comes in, especially with good data. Like I said, I mean good Wi-Fi, sorry. So you can see it takes literally seconds to review. So the other day, all I was doing, 47's up the top 3 times. So keep going down. So 78's at the top, for example. 1, 2, 3, 109. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Easy. Right, you're seeing that. What you see here, obviously that's those notes at the far right. But basically, yeah, like I said, if even the entrant number, if they didn't know, so I think there was 1 or 2 examples in here. Maybe. No, not in this round. Anyway, but oh, hang on, there we go. So like this one, for example, that responder updated this value. So this is me going through at the time. So like I said, you see 2 judges have got 193 and one's got 163 or one fucking whatever. Has got, 13, has missed the 9. Pretty damn easy. Look at the timestamps, look at roughly the scores, go, yep, that matches up, that's 193. It's not hard, especially when you can see the 2 cars either side. Right, so like I said, actually that's a good point. This is about the stage where those couple missing ones started happening, so, and we're keyed back in. So you see here, 159, 159 was keyed back in after the fact. It's still there. All this next sheet does is look for that number in that sequence. So we go to Excel. Basically, Google Forms and Excel, Google Sheets, sorry, I should say. Google Sheets doesn't have the same functionality as Excel. That's why you pay for Excel. But anyway, basically, scores for round 1, you copy, paste, drop it in here. 2/3 of the way down the sheet, but for example, if I want to see, I don't know, entrant, find, my own scores, for example, match entire cell 100 find. Right, so there we go. Someone reckon I was very short. That's my burnout, not anything else. But anyway, like I said, you can see my penalties. So one judge got me for no tyres. Must have been blind, but that's cool. I don't care. I was only out there for fun. Not sure about the number plate on Ford 1-tonner. So again, he wasn't sure, but he's put a note. As it was, that wasn't edited because would have had that note in the corner. But anyway, it was obviously right. Yeah, basically all that data drops into here so you can see at a glance, and for the people that have received the results, what they would have seen is me go like this and just highlight that. What I've not done, I suppose, is locked. Lost it where it went. Anyway, there, right. So I locked the top cell just so people can actually, like, I know what these are off the top of my head, but yeah, other people obviously don't. So you can see at a glance, I got 7 for instant smoke, I got 19 for constant smoke, I got 18, 47 for drive skill. There we go. It's pretty easy. These numbers over here don't mean anything pertaining to mine. This is the entrant numbers just in numerical order. So if I want to see my score, for example, it is obviously at 100. So 248 is my culmination of my scores. I have 1 penalty and my end result is 238, obviously. what happens then is it drops into here, and this is the next sheet that basically I get my results from. So go into here versus V6, okay, and then find sort largest to smallest, expand, and that's in the order that everyone placed. And there we go, 238. So again, like I said, you can see where that comes from, and like I said, as wild as it is, you can see the formula. Take your pictures now if you want, make your own, it's cool. I really have nothing to hide. But yes, there was exception reporting on this, and so it would flash up red and giving me a fault when there was multiples. But anyway, that obviously had to be turned off when we combined that amount of data in this sheet. And if you have a look at these numbers, we might sort of know there is, so that's actually rubber on my screen, not a Q. Yeah, anyway, you can't change that. Well, see, there's my idiot proofing. So, like I said, that's 1901, so don't worry about the one, but basically I stretched the formula to 1900 cells. So, obviously, yeah, 200 cars, 3 times 600, 2 rounds, 1200. So, you know, gave myself a bit extra room. But basically, yeah, it just looks for my entrant number, and then, like I said, you know, have a look at that formula if you want. But and then, you know, obviously this one's quite simple. It's just this one. Take this one. Is that obviously the penalties does the same. Just looks in this range for that entrant number across the entire sheet. It's, yeah, I don't know. There might be better ways to do it, but like I said, it was foolproof. The times, anyway, I did it. Flip this around again. Yeah, so in summary, basically, yeah, I gotta apologise. It, yeah, was my, I suppose, mistake. I gotta wear that. Like I said, you know, there's no guarantee of a position when you do make finals. I feel probably worse for the guys that did the right thing, and when we're told, like I noticed, obviously with the time crunch, I filtered those results, sent them to the girls, didn't really look because the women were already lined up. As soon as the women got going, or as soon as I changed the sheet for the judges, and made sure they were, you know, squared away again, yeah, went back, looked at the results just to see what they actually were, and noticed, like I said, you know, three judges, possible 100 points per judge, you know, 300 points per burnout, and there was some cars in there with 600, nearly 700 points. Obviously, then I started looking at who was in there and sort of didn't even know half those names. Like I said, there was guys that ended up in the finals that shouldn't have done. The majority of those guys were told explicitly that they weren't meant to be there. Obviously tried to explain in a very short amount of period of time why they weren't meant to be there. And like I said, thank you to the guys that actually did the right thing and pulled out of the line. I get, like I said, that's the one that I feel sorry for, because that's going to be fucking gutting, especially, like I said, at an event like Revheads where it's pretty damn hard to make finals. Like I said, for the cockheads that didn't want to listen, that's cool, fuck you, whatever. And for the ones that weren't called up that probably should have, yeah, I apologise to you guys too. Like I said, there's no guarantee, you know, even if you get into finals that you're going to place, but yeah, like I said, fuck all I can do about it now. But yeah, like I said, that's the reason why, and like I said, chose a video just because there was a shitload of information there, and it's just I spent hours writing countless times in different ways over the last week, trying to explain it to people, why, how, who, and it just didn't seem to work. So hopefully that explanation's enough to at least gives people some of the information. It's not an excuse. I put my hand up as soon as I knew, as soon as I became aware, chucked it over the PA for Christ's sake, admitted to it fully, wholeheartedly then. Like I said, don't want this to reflect in any way on the Revheads guys. Wasn't any of their doing. Obviously they trusted me in a system that I trusted. I said, had to change the system on my feet with very little sleep. But anyway, it's, like I said, can't go back and change it now, but to those guys that did the right thing, and obviously the ones that didn't make it in, I'm sorry. The ones that didn't obviously get affected, but feel the need to say something still, good on you. And like I said, for our series entrants, for the most part, have been, rather gracious about it. Obviously those scores that we put up earlier in the week, they were all 100% correct. As much as some people have, rightfully so, probably not trusted some of the data. I've explained to those people in explicit detail, the timestamping, everything else. It's all there. Like I said, I can prove it every day of the week now. And like I said, that transparency is great. And like I said, the only problem is it's probably going to make it a little bit harder to find guys who want to volunteer their whole weekend, sit there sober, and give it 100%. And like I said, I've always believed, I suppose, that a judge should be a driver or an ex-driver. I don't know how you give an accurate score on 50% of the scorecard if you've never actually done it. I mean, there's plenty of guys in senior positions, I suppose, that have watched thousands of burnouts. But like I said, I think this week sort of highlighted a few things that nothing against those guys. There's more to it than what you see from the outside, put it that way. Like I said, it's probably a little bit of education too, but I'm still not going back to judging. This was obviously supposed to be my parting gift to the scene, if you want to call it that. But like I said, it's one comp. There's probably 8 or so people drastically affected by it. And like I said, to those guys, wholeheartedly sorry, but like I said, can't change it now. But like I said, proved it. It's not going away. And I can say, even with those few issues, there's probably less. Well, 100% there's less mistakes in that data, like I said, than what there would be in manually keyed in stuff. Like I said, you've got to obviously interpret what a judge has written. It's 3 different styles of handwriting from guys that have been sitting there for fucking 8-10 hours a day, covered in shit. Like I said, it's sometimes hard. So done that as well. But anyway, I'll leave it there. But like I said, it's fixed. Definitely won't happen again for a couple of reasons. But that's it.